Hello and welcome to another episode of, yes, Movie Bollocks. It's me, your host, Howard H. Smith, as always, and it's a slightly different show, so it's a slightly different intro. Not as much in-your-face intensity as the usual Talking Bollocks. This one's for, I guess, you know, the purists, the movie enthusiasts. This is episode 4. So you've got 3 others to check out. Just a little glimpse of my mathematic genius for you. In this episode, I catch up with a very good friend of mine. It's the Geordie mafia return. Last month it was Ed Box. This month it is Gary Foalle, who's a very good friend of mine. Now, you might have heard a ping in the background there. Some of you who've been a bollocker for a very long time will straight away realise that yes, I am up in Yorkshire recording this at my mother's house, who I've come to visit after I'm finally allowed to visit, given that there is still a pandemic, but you know, lockdown has eased slightly and that finds me here. So back to the movie business. Got slightly distracted by the ping there, but I'm sure you did, and that's why I wanted to address it straight off. Back to where we were. Gary is a good friend of mine, a very good friend of mine. We, to the extent that I performed the karaoke version of Enter Sandman at his wedding a couple of years ago, which was I've had all the video evidence destroyed. Don't worry about that. Although I think patrons might have seen that. Yeah, definitely not worth paying for. So, there you go, patreon.com/Howard H. Smith, if you would like to get more content, exclusives and all the rest of it. So anyway, I will just do a little bit of a recap here because, basically, I did say that I was going to, you know, when I can, give you some recommendations. And as opposed, actually, I'm just going to tell you what I've been watching since the last episode. So, there is, for a start, I've kind of ventured into Amazon Prime for a couple of months just to see how it is. I completely destroyed the first series of Homecoming, starring Julia Roberts, which is 10 episodes, all about 25 minutes long. It is, pretty well, I smashed through it, found it really engaging, and I don't want to give too much away about it. If you're thinking of checking it out, then do check it out if you have Amazon Prime. And what else? Well, I tried The 5 Bloods on Netflix. That's D-A, The 5, as in the digit 5, Bloods. The 5 Bloods on Netflix, which is the latest Spike Lee film, and a huge letdown for me after the absolute fucking genius that was BlacKkKlansman. And if you haven't seen that, in fact, basically, just go and see that. Yeah, just forget all about The 5 Bloods. Go and see that. Funnily enough, I started watching The 5 Bloods and I just couldn't get it. And the weird thing was that there were scenes that were they're these basically these buddies who get together who are in Vietnam together, and then they have memories of being in Vietnam together, but they're all the same age they are now. And I was just like, right, okay, I'm not quite sure where that's coming from. As a lack of budget here, or it just kind of threw me a bit. And then I listened to an interview with Spike Lee where he said, well, you know, I trust the audience to be intelligent enough to know that's their memories of that. So they're remembering themselves as the age they are now. And I thought, oh, right, okay, well, you know, thanks for trusting me, but I know I really didn't get that. Went straight over my head, but there you go. So, yeah, just watch BlacKkKlansman. It didn't do anything for me. Never mind. In fact, I quit about halfway through. Another movie out that's, I think it is a Netflix original, actually. I think it is, but it's basically made by Fangoria. Now, Fangoria is a very well-known, respected horror magazine that's been out for absolutely years. Ramsey of Acid Rain fame used to be always reading that back in the day. VFW. It's a real 80s horror throwback. I mean, it's well done. The violence is totally over the top. You know, people burst, literally burst in it. It's kind of a cross between, I don't know, it's like an 80s version of Dusk Till Dawn. I mean, and there's two people from Dusk Till Dawn in it. There are no vampires, but it does involve people getting stuck in a place and defending it. I enjoyed it. The first 30 minutes, the first act, if you will, is a little slow, but yeah, it whiled away the time, and you know, I wouldn't necessarily. Well, I don't think anyone's going to watch it and go, "Oh my god, that was amazing." And you might watch it and think, "Oh my god, that's fucking shit." So you know, just check it out if you want. But I enjoyed it. It passed the time, which isn't exactly a ringing endorsement, but there you go. Now, I also watched a documentary called The Amazing Jonathan. Now, I'd wanted to see this after a very interesting review I'd heard Mark Kermode do, or Kermode, as it? No, it's Mark Kermode. It's actually Kermode because he's from the Isle of Man, but let's not get into that. Anyway, it's my podcast, not his. The Amazing Jonathan. So yeah, I watched that, and I actually enjoyed it more than I thought I did at the time, if that makes sense. It's about 90 minutes, and it achieves the very, very rare thing of, at the end of 90 minutes of watching this documentary, you are no further forward. You're no closer to knowing anything about the story that you've just watched for the last 90 minutes. You're no better informed. You are no wiser. You are left with a load of questions and pretty much no answers. It's up to you to try and decide what you think. Now, I know that sounds really kind of well, not entertaining. I like I said, that it's quite an achievement to watch a documentary for 90 minutes, be none the wiser, but still enjoy it. It's not for everybody, but it is a very interesting. And if you don't know who the Amazing Jonathan is, just look it up. He's a very, very funny sort of gonzo comedian from back in the day. So there you go. That's The Amazing Jonathan, which is a documentary, and yeah, I enjoyed it. Pretty amusing. That's all I got there. Next up would be As the Palaces Burn. Yes, I can't believe this. I'm actually enjoying the new Lamb of God album. And to that extent, I actually finally watched As the Palaces Burn because it is on Amazon Prime, which is the documentary about their tour that Randy Blythe ends up being arrested and detained. Yeah, in the Czech Republic. And again, I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. Although I have to say, the prophetic last line, well, having been through this, I guess we're all stuck together until one of us dies. That's the very last line of the documentary, and that is uttered by Chris Adler, who of course is not in the band anymore. And I just think I've just realised I think I might be repeating myself from the main podcast, so apologies there, because I doubt anybody's listening to this and not listening to the main one. But there you go. Not that this is whatever. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Now, there's a couple of movies that I have watched for the very first, again, just to appreciate them again, and that is basically 1917, which is a Sam Mendes movie. It's the one about the First World War, hence the title 1917. It follows two soldiers. It's kind of done as one shot. You know, you just follow them everywhere. It's brilliantly done. It is it's just incredible. Really enjoyed it. Watched it for the second time, and you know, I enjoyed it way more the second time than the first time. I think the first time I was watching a slightly dodgy copy, so serves me right. But just an amazing, awesome movie, and to that extent, it then inspired me to watch again They Shall Not Grow Old. Now, if you don't know what They Shall Not Grow Old is, just watch it. Again, it's a documentary on the First World War. It's Peter Jackson spent 2 years putting it together, possibly more than that actually. It is a stunning project, and once you've watched it, then go and look into the work and effort that was put into piecing it together. It's phenomenal. I mean, it should be shown in schools, simple as that. And so should 1917. It really should. I appreciate people listening to I appreciate that's not like everyone's cup of tea. Absolutely get that. Fair enough. But I can't recommend those two highly enough, 1917 and They Shall Not Grow Old, neither of which are going to leave you in an upbeat, feel-good kind of mood. So, there you go. If you don't mind that, then cool. I'll tell you something else that's, in fact, two more movies that are not going to leave you in an upbeat kind of mood either. It's taken me a long time to get round to watching The Imitation Game. I don't know, I do like Benedict Cumberbatch, and I keep having to remind myself that I like him, but for some reason when he's in stuff it kind of puts me off. I don't know, that doesn't make sense. It really doesn't, because I like the stuff he's in. So apologies for the needless rising inflection there. I'm not fucking Australian. Are you coming to dinner? I feel great. Anyway, shut up. It's the ADHD kicking in, or as we've come to call them, tangents. So yeah, The Imitation Game, again, it just outstanding movies. Outstanding movie, Oscar nominated, did win an Oscar. I kind of have this rule that if, unless it's for costume or special effects, then if it's irrelevant to the creation of the piece, then if it's got an Oscar, I'll watch it. Might not always enjoy it, but invariably it's not going to be shit. I might not like it, but I will have to say, wow, that was, yes, I can see why it won an Oscar. Prime example, for instance, going off on a tangent here. In fact, I think I mentioned this in an interview, or I've mentioned it before, was the movie The Favourite, which Olivia Colman won the Best Female Actor Award Oscar for, and quite rightly. But it's a movie that does not equal the sum of its parts. There's brilliant supporting performances from Rachel Weisz and from, it's going to really annoy me because I'm not, and Emma Stone. Wow, I've actually remembered. All three of them are brilliant, but and Nicholas Hoult is good, but as a movie, it just didn't quite hang together for me. Anyway, slight tangent. The Imitation Game, absolutely brilliant, and also. I watched it with my mother. Obviously, the Second World War. She was a kid during that, and she knew the story of Alan Turing, but didn't know what happens. There's his personal story is very sad, but there's just everyone kind of. It's about the Enigma machine and breaking it, but how they actually manage that situation once it happens was absolutely amazing. It really was jaw-dropping that's what happened. And at the moment we're all about, there's a real drive in society for acceptance of all races, creeds, colours, sexualities, etc. And I'm sure some of you think, do you know what? It's all a bit over the top, or things like that. If you watch this movie and see as a country how we treated a man who was a national hero, not just a national hero, a world hero, who probably did more, single-handedly, to defeat the Nazis than any other single person. And hands-on, I'm kind of including Churchill in that, although Churchill backs him, so Churchill is responsible for his success, so kind of not Churchill then. But when you see how we treated that man as a nation, it just made me fucking ashamed. In fact, it made me cry, because it's just fucking horrible. What happened to him should not happen to anyone. Anyway, if you've seen it, you already know, and if you haven't, then it's definitely worth checking out. Again, it's not a feel-good movie, and the next one is definitely not a feel-good movie. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's called simply 7,500, starring, and I hadn't seen a movie with him for ages, and it reminded me what a great actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt is, and he's the main star of 7,500 or 7,500, and it is just it's very impactful as a movie. It really is. It's just I was absolutely glued to the screen. It's only about 83 minutes long, but definitely worth a watch if you have Amazon Prime. And also a reference to Joseph Gordon-Levitt. There's a really cool film he's in from 2010 called Hesher. That's Hesher. Oh, fuck off, Amazon and your fucking notifications. So yeah, Hesher. It's a really, really cool movie, and he plays basically a metal fan. And the tagline for the movie is sometimes life gives you the finger, and sometimes life gives you the finger, and sometimes it gives you ... So there you go. But the key thing that I'm mentioning this for as well is that I know obviously pretty much everyone listening to this is into metal. It was one of the very first movies to feature Metallica on the soundtrack. He there's metal all the way through it. He's basically a metalhead, and it's really cool. So yeah, I'm recommending that. I haven't watched it for ages, but watching 7,500 reminded me of what a cool movie it is. And also, it's a fairly decent cast. Justin Gordon-Levitt, Rainn Wilson, who some of you may know, Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman, really. I'm not so sure. I'm really not so sure. But anyway, occasionally she's good, but occasionally she's just a bit sort of just glassy-eyed and not particularly engaging. Anyway, she's still been in some good movies. Who am I to tear her down? I'm not tearing her down. She's not my favourite female actor. Nearly said actress. Fuck it, actress. Now, Rotten Tomatoes only gives Hesher 54%, and all that is an example of is that great. That's what you get when you when you average out a whole load of people's opinions. Well, the only opinion I'm interested in is mine. The only opinion you should be interested in is yours. So if you want to check it out, check it out. And if you don't, then don't. See if I care. And finally, I'm going to have to check the title of this one because I haven't written the whole title down. And it's a Netflix movie called The End of American Crime. And I got about an hour into it, and I don't know about anyone else, but especially during lockdown, there's so much to choose from. And if you find yourself kind of just going, I'm checking my phone, and I just think, yeah, right, I'm done here. I gave it an hour. Some of you might like it. I really, really... In fact, I've just looked... Oh, right, okay. I've just looked it on Netflix, and apparently I've still got an hour and 51 minutes left. That's when I dropped out. A bank robber joins a plot to commit one final historic heist before the government turns on mind-altering signal that will end all criminal behaviour. So it's a high concept, but it's a low delivery. Didn't work for me at all, obviously, because, I left it with 1 hour and 51 minutes left. So there you go. I'm kind of steering you away from it. Whatever. If you give it a go. Give it a go. So there you go. There's some movie and TV recommendations for you. Now, back to what I was saying. Gary is, I class as one of my best friends on the planet, and we do actually. Well, I'm not going to preempt what's coming now, but we've got a lot of history, a lot of movie. We share a lot of movie history. We've watched tons together. We've talked movies till we're blue in the face. Gary is also bass player from legendary Newcastle heavy metal band Accelerator. He's also got a prog project about to come out, which I'm going to get him on the main podcast to talk about as well. Right, so this some of you are going to find this are really going to probably identify with this and find it a real kind of throwback, and some of you won't. I don't know. Why am I suddenly trying to predict all the time what you're going to like, what you're not going to like? I don't know. I don't normally give a shit, and I don't think I do give a shit. No, not at all. So there you go. I have talked movies sufficiently enough. That is very nearly 20 minutes. So let's get into the interview. It's a chat. It's not an interview. It's a chat with my good friend Gary Foalle. So, welcome to my rock and roll partner for this particular episode of Movie Bollocks. Is somebody I've been to see movies with, and we had Ed Box from Newcastle last week, and this week it is bass player extraordinaire man behind a huge prog project, which we're going to hear about. It is the one and only Gary Foalle. How are you, mate?
Howard, what a big up. Probably the best big up since you introduced Accelerator in 95, something like that.
Fucking hell, did I?
Well, you said that I had 4 strings on my bass and 2 of them were no use to me.
Oh, that was...
But, you know...
Yeah, it was a laugh.
Yeah. Like, two's too many, one's enough, something like that, you know?
Oh, dear, what a cunt. What a cunt. Nothing's changed. So anyway, how are you, mate? It's a bit warm, isn't it? And it's a bit lockdown.
Warm and lockdown. A couple of things to get out of the way. I'm a Geordie. I think people have sussed that. But sometimes I will use the word I rather than like I'm hot. I will say I'm hot because I'm trying. This is my radio voice.
Right.
So
Okay.
I can understand a little bit more. You know?
Oh, that's very good of you. I'm sure the listeners appreciate that.
But if I get carried away and excited about something, I tend to. The Geordie comes out a bit.
Oh yeah. All bets are off. It'll just sound like a load of vowels being mangled.
Listening to your last podcast, actually, no, it wasn't your last podcast. It was because I listened to them in the wrong order. Charlie Hunnam in The Gentleman Should Speak Like Me, not like Sting.
Yes. Charlie Humdrum.
Yeah.
Oh,
I did see that to them actually. Yeah.
Bless him. You know, he kicks. Oh yeah, I've met him. He's a lovely bloke. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that it's like, bless him. He rocks the small screen. But put him in a film, put him in a movie, and it's Jennifer Aniston all over again. It fucking tanks.
Yeah. I haven't seen him in I haven't seen Sons of Anarchy, so I haven't. I'm unaware of how good he is in that, you know. Oh, mate,
that is worth a binge. I have to say that is worth a binge because there is, it goes to places. It does go some places that other TV series dare not go.
Yeah.
So it is. Look at us, straight into the flow of it, straight in. Just slagging off Charlie Humdrum.
No problem doing 5 hours, man.
Well, I'll tell you what. We could probably do 5 hours without even thinking about it, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, good old Charlie. He's like it's one of those talents that, just like I said, doesn't seem to have translated to the big screen. Basically, like everybody who was in Friends. You know, none have gone on to have a successful, or what you'd consider a particularly successful movie career. It's a weird one because he's in a lot of movies and people clearly like what he does, but I don't know. He's just not been in a movie that's really worked for me at the moment, apart from maybe that Netflix thing, Triple Threat.
Oh yes, I forgot who was in that. Yeah. But there was a good cast with him, and I liked it was ensemble, really, wasn't it? I liked the guys more, you know.
He was half decent in that, but again, I think it's because it was like you say, it's an ensemble. There's no, I was going to say there's no star, but you know, Ben Affleck is stood right there.
Yeah.
But it was basically like it was an ensemble piece. You know, the parts were shared around equally. And there was no, there wasn't the attention on any particular one character. And in that case, I thought he came across really well. It's just when he's required to do a bigger job that I just think he's found a bit wanting.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, there's that much stuff now, as obviously we'll come to talk about, that I don't remember what I've seen. I looked on Netflix to look at like my kind of back history, but it only shows me stuff from 2020.
Yeah, on Netflix.
You can download
Netflix
it as a PDF or something. So, because I was wondering that, I've seen some amazing films, but they just don't stick with you the same as things that you see at the cinema, you know.
Well, the thing is with Netflix as well is that it just annoys me that like you'll start watching something and go, yeah, that's shit, I'm not going to bother with that, and it stays in your continue watching list for fucking ever.
Yeah.
Do you flick through it and you think, I don't even remember fucking pressing play on that.
No.
You know?
Oh, the shit come up in my list. It's like 5 seconds of a children's TV show that obviously the kids have went, oh, I'm on Dad's channel, you know, I'm going to go on my own account.
Right.
You know, so they haven't got privy to something like blue is the warmest colour or something, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then
so
for a second I've got some kind of thing, and that, like you're saying, it hangs around, like you say.
Oh, man, it hangs around. And the one thing, the thing that winds me up more than anything, though, is when Netflix says, Netflix goes, oh, you know, because you watched this, we thought you might like to watch this. And it's like, yeah, but I've already watched that. Aren't you paying any fucking attention to what I watch and what I don't watch?
I mean, I do think it is a great, you know, medium, and it's like, you know, it's probably the best of the streaming things, you know, platforms for its diversity of things. You know, I mean, the documentaries are absolutely amazing, and there's lots of music stuff on there as well, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely think, I'm not sure, but maybe, oh no, I get them mixed up, because honestly, one minute I'm on Amazon Prime and then I'm on there.
Yes.
But there's definitely some of those, you know, banger productions, the metal documentaries and stuff like that. You know, I've definitely watched things like that across some of them anyway, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I have as well. And I mean, well, it's all part of the cinematization of TV. As you know, as the quality of TV has increased over the years, and starting with kind of like HBO doing, like, you know, The Wire and Sopranos, and The Wire, Sopranos, and 24, as I've said before, you know, three TV series all happened around the same time, and tropes from those three TV series you can find in pretty much everything that comes out.
You're gonna kill me for never seeing 24, though.
Not particularly, because I think it's like you either got it at the time, and I didn't. I mean, I got into series 3 and then went backwards. But anyone listening to this who's never watched the 24s, definitely watch it. Definitely. I mean, it's you know, it's filmed a la real time. It was the first TV series to use split screens to, like, you know, 4 different, you know, different timelines going on, 4 different stories. I mean, it won the BAFTA 2 years in a row for Best International TV Programme. And BAFTAs don't, you know, they don't hand those out to, like, you know, a crock of shit. But anyway, I don't know, I seem to have got fucking gone down a 24 rabbit hole.
The rabbit hole that opens up with any of this, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So anyway, look, let's get on to movies. And look, your first love, how you kind of first realised, Jesus Christ, I love movies.
Okay, so I'm 50 in the new year, right? Obviously, what's my first cinema? That I remember.
Star Wars.
Going to see Star Wars.
Yay!
Like millions of us, you know?
Yeah.
Millions. And I know they would say, you know, it's a life changer because, like, us is so hardcore into this stuff, you know. And the people we connected with, you know, Ed, Clive, those other people from when you were up north, you know, have the same heart into it. You all have that memory of going to cinema for whatever the first time was, you know. But what a way to introduce movies. I mean, I bought my first record as well, because I bought the single, the funk version of the theme tune at the cinema on the same trip.
Wow.
So it was a kind of double, got my first records, my first big trip to the movies that I remember, you know.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is fucking. I remember going to see. I saw Star Wars. I think it was Empire Strikes Back in the cinema in Bradford. Yeah. And when they started playing the theme tune, they had I mean, this really dates it. There was a glitter ball in the cinema.
Yeah.
And when they started playing the theme tune, they shone a light on the glitter ball, and the glitter ball turned round, so it looked like it was all stars flashing past. So really, right, like, you know, really early cobbled together sort of 3D effect. But I tell you what, at that age, I remember just, like, you know, going, wow, you know, I was fucking amazed.
I mean, how would it, you know, I try to tell this to my kids, you know, I mean, nowadays, I know we're on lockdown, but prior to that, going to cinema, you have a ticket booked, you rock up 5 minutes before the film comes on, and you go to your allocated seat, and the cinema's nearly always half full. But obviously things like that, as you remember, you were queuing round the block for possibly a couple of hours from the showing before, waiting to get in for the next one. You had the supporting feature. You had the ice cream man, the Kiora in the interval. Remember?
Oh, fucking hell, yeah.
And then
Kiora, Kiora. And there was like all the little oranges.
Yeah. Michael Caine and Roger Moore would do the advert for the Sunshine Coach, at which point the bucket would come around the seats.
Jesus.
Now, a worthy cause. It was great, but I could just imagine people putting 10 pence in and pulling like 50 pence out of it. Can you? I don't remember it being a sealed bucket with a little slot. I don't know, but incredible nonetheless, and then an advert for the local undertaker and the carriage.
Without a doubt, and there'd be you got a voucher on the back of your cinema ticket. Eventually, cinemas are going to realise at some point that, or rather, the advertisers who advertise in cinemas at some point they're going to realise that it doesn't work. I mean, it's literally like you never see somebody advertise on the back of a cinema ticket. And if you could go back to that cinema for 10 years, you'll never see that company advertising on the back of that cinema ticket again.
And not forgetting the yeah, amazing, wasn't it?
Oh dear!
Yeah.
Hey, it was so easy.
It
was so easy. It was so easy to keep yourself entertained in the 90s. I feel like we're like, for Christmas I got a ball of string and a lump of coal and I was happy.
But I know it's about being a kid and all the rest of it, but I just think the fact that you've got this endless barrage of info now, I don't think that my kids appreciate it the same way. Or, I mean, leading on to that, VHS, if you wanted to see a film, you were all crowded around the TV on Christmas Day watching Bond or
The
Omen or something, amazing. But, the kids, they have a collection of films that just, whatever, they've got endless, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, I guess it's like, it's sort of comparing the eras. If you compare like when we were, teenagers in our early 20s, going to see a lot of movies, there wasn't a massive amount of choice, and like now it's almost like there's too much choice, and then like it's somewhere in the middle. It's ideal, but again, the movies like music has gone mad now. You've really got to dig around, and it's like the big albums, the big bands, the big movies. Oh, they're all right, they're fine. Nothing's changed for them. But it's like it's the other, it's that middle, it's everybody else, because now there is such a volume of movies coming out that the democratization of digitization, if you like. So the same with music has happened in movies, which basically means there's tons more music out there now, and now there's also tons more movies out there, and it's the old thing, isn't it? It's just made it a lot harder to find really good quality product, and the top stuff will always come to the surface because it'll have a huge label / studio behind it. But everything else is getting lost in the noise.
I mean, coming back around to your metal podcast here, turning it full circle. If you remember, obviously when your band was in Kerrang, it didn't matter if you went to thrash or glam metal or old school metal or, kind of blues, rock or whatever. If the guys had long hair, they go in that magazine. Yeah. That's how, probably both of us, became Marillion fans, because they shared the same magazine with Metallica and Iron Maiden and everybody else, because that's where they put you in. But I guess to get me point, sorry Howard, is that there was only a couple of hundred bands.
Yeah.
Nowadays you have to have your sub-genres, because you couldn't just umbrella all of them bands into one magazine and give them fair coverage,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you want to, I've found a really good way of managing to make yourself sound fucking ancient. Is tell people that I remember when there was two genres of heavy music: hard rock and heavy metal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, wow, how fucking old are
you?
you?
Yeah. I know.
You know, because there's that. But again, it's more choice. There's more creativity. There's more people doing stuff. You know, that's great. That's wonderful. I'm just saying, it makes it a little. You know, it's a little harder to get the best stuff, or not the best stuff, but finding that stuff that is below the surface, and you're really gonna have to dig out, like stuff like we used to dig out back in the day, like the reflecting skin and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
But what was good, for us, it sounds like so bastards reminiscing now, but which we are. But you'd go to the cinema on Friday and catch, Pulp Fiction, Gladiator, whatever it was. You saw the big movie, and then you'd maybe get some stuff from the video shop through the week, and you were up to date with the stuff that you wanted to see. Now you're sitting there with a list in Netflix. I've got about a dozen on it, but the series, it's going to take a long time to get through. And then I've got the same lists in other platforms, right? So you've got this back catalogue of things that you want to watch. Back in the day, you would just get the new films, go to the cinema on the day they came out. Jobs are good, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I've got to the stage now where I'm looking at stuff, and I've kind of I've spotted a genre, and the genre is Netflix commissioned something that's a good idea for 2 series.
Yeah.
Because and it's always the same. It's some people have gone missing. Some people have turned up on an island. Some people were supposed to be dead, but they're not. And it's like, yeah, brilliant. You've got 2 series in that at best, because the first series will be really good. The second series will be a sort of slightly different version of series 2, and series 3 will be shit. You know what I mean?
You're committed to the 10 series, Howard, now. You started. You're going to finish,
Look, anyone who's watched Designated Survivor on Netflix knows that was a concept that worked for 1 series, and it was pretty good. And after that, it was just like, oh dear, it's... And I can't believe, because you can find these things on Netflix, all of these, like the 100 and, the 125 and the 9/10 of one person. And it's just like, they've gone for the log line. Do you know what I mean? Someone comes in and goes, look, this is the idea. And they've gone, okay, great, make it. It's just like bad news. But ultimately, I think, some people are into that shit. And that's like, that's what they're looking for. I'm just saying that for me, I'm now steering well clear of that stuff.
Yeah. It's hard because you give stuff a go, and then, like I say, you sometimes you stick with it, and sometimes you a couple of episodes. Like The Witcher, I wasn't bothered. I started it, couldn't be asked. I appreciate there'll be a lot of fans out there of it.
Well,
of course, and it's meant to be really good.
Do you know what? I'm in agreement. I watched 2 episodes and I was like, nah, whatever. But I was actually at my mum's house, and she's a massive Game of Thrones fan. And she was like, oh, let's give it another one. I was like, okay, fair enough. I wouldn't have done. I'd have been out. So I ended up watching them all, and actually enjoying it. But standards are so high now. It's like, yeah, I enjoyed that, but how much did I enjoy it? Did you know what I mean?
I think it's just for me, it was too soon after Game of Thrones, so that kind of, I was in me swords and sorcery, etc.
Yeah, and you weren't gonna bend the knee for another series.
Yeah. The proverbial bend the knee.
Fair enough.
However, if we're talking about some series that I'm enjoying on Netflix, Mindhunters.
Oh yeah, that's a classic. That
amazing. Soundtrack's incredible. The Tarantino-esque with the use of songs from the time and stuff. Brilliant.
Yeah. No, that is a great series. It really is. I was actually what was that? Yeah, you were talking about that. What was that? Sorry, what was that last series we were just talking about? Not Mindhunter. Before that.
Oh, about Witcher.
That's it. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
And that was. God, yeah. That obviously made a big impact on me. I meant to say. So, what was your verdict on Game of Thrones in the end?
I think you summed it up with on one of your previous episodes. Really, is that? I mean, how do you end it to please everybody?
Right.
You know what it suffered from for me was, and this has came up on another episode too, is the way, spoiler alert, when Anakin becomes Darth Vader, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's just, well, I won't, maybe, oh, go on then. And then next thing you know, it wasn't, I know they had to cram a lot into that film, and we're on a whole other thing talking about Star Wars, but it was the same thing. It was like, you know, you want to spoil it, but, you know, one of the main characters, you know, goes a certain way, and I don't know. I just, you know what would have been good? Put a couple more episodes in there that weren't action orientated and just flesh out a bit more the relationships between the two people that we're thinking of, you know?
Yeah, and that I think there's definitely a case for that, and also, despite the fact that it was quite a long time between between series, it felt, for some reason, the climax still felt a bit rushed, and I got to be honest, some of the effects fucking looked a bit rushed, and especially, you know, the episode that takes place basically at night. So, you know, good luck everyone.
Well, I shut every curtain blind the whole lot for that one.
Oh, yeah. And then but then you know, it's just kind of like, well, fucking hell, guys, you know, this is, you know.
I will say, sorry, I had another point I've just thought of about that last episode is the events happen, and then there's a jump in time to the kind of epilogue of the whole series, right?
Yeah.
Is I think they should have ended it there and then started a new episode so you'd have an understanding more, like, it's jump time, where you could fill out what has happened in some of that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 I don't know. It's just one of these things, again, where I don't know how they could ever really finish it, you know. And I think another annoying thing is that George R.R. Martin hadn't finished the books. It's like the Star Wars thing again, George Lucas not having a hand.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you knew it was his story, you just go, all right, well, that's what he wanted, that's fine. But it's been left with the season runners to develop it.
Well,
and they did an amazing job. I'm not, you know, it's you know, I mean, some of those episodes in that last series, you know, phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the Battle of the Bastards in the series 1 or 2 before that, you know. You're thinking, how can you top this on epicness, you know? But they did it again.
It is an incredible undertaking. It's an incredible achievement and series, and you know. But look, you've touched on it there. We've got to go there. Star Wars. It's got to be done, hasn't it? For anybody expecting.
The Jedi. Let's sum it up. Come on.
Yeah. Sorry. Say what?
You know, I'm the biggest fan of it with many other people, but it's a cash cow.
Yeah.
You know, they did the original trilogy phenomenal. I'd like to hope kids now. Fair enough, my kids say, "Oh, that's green screen, Dad," when they see clips from the old, you know, when they watch the old ones,
the
original ones. But you know, I think anyone would, you know, no one could dispute that A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back are the best ones of the lot, and I like to think a modern audience would still think the same. I don't know this, but
yeah, I mean, I have to say, I think Star Wars, when you go back to it now, A New Hope is a bit slow.
I like the way you're right, but I think that's the way that it's got a nice build.
Well, yeah, I
where
mean,
it's going. You know, I love all the reveal of what the Force is and all that slow bits. You know, where they're just talking on the Falcon as they're traveling.
But the thing is that it like you say, it's what you like, isn't it? Because for you know for one person it's like, oh great, yeah, that's a nice bit of depth.
Yeah.
Whereas, like I say, for me, I think I've just felt it was a bit slow. But I mean, look, the original trilogy, great. The prequels, I mean, you know, there's, yeah.
I still will go forever to midnight screenings, and I still will. I don't buy stuff now. I sort of get maybe art books and things like that, but I haven't got any memorabilia as such anymore. But yeah, I'll always be there for it. No matter, I'll always enjoy it, even if you come out kind of go, "Oh, it's okay." 5 out of 10. I'll still be going first in the queue.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and again...
and it'll outlive us now, Howard. They'll be making Star Wars films after we've gone. That's insane.
It is, but, I mean, if it's anything like... I'm just going to jump ahead and, dive straight in. If it's anything like the last trilogy, well, good luck to them. I mean, good luck to... Instead of having a trilogy and going, right, let's write that trilogy. No, let's just write one at a time. Which again, for me,
ridiculous.
Well, it is. But I've been thinking about this, and I know I kind of spoke with Ed about it, and saying there didn't seem to be a plan, and I've come full circle really, and realised that maybe that was the plan. The plan all along was Kathleen Kennedy. She is all about the popularity, and Disney is not a movie studio, it's a fucking marketing company. And what they decided was, we're going to make one movie at a time, and we're going to get the feedback and the social media footprint and see what they think, and then we'll make the next one. And that's why I think you saw the first movie, took 0 risks, made $1 billion, everyone's happy. Mm-hmm. So
I thoroughly enjoyed it at the time, mate, before the remake thing dawned on me. I did really enjoy it.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that it went so well that Disney went, right, okay, we are well in with Star Wars fans at the moment. We've earned the right to do what the fuck we like. So then what you get on the back of that is The Last Jedi, where somebody basically completely turns everything on its head. And then when Disney saw the response to that, they went, "Oh, right, okay, fuck that. Get JJ back."
Damage control, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you've got. You've got the modern equivalent of release an album, or release a movie. Instead of having a trilogy in mind, having an artistic vision. There you go. Mm-hmm. George Lucas is an artisan who had his own companies, and he created his artistic vision. And Disney are now trying to create his artistic vision, and it is just, it's not very good.
Another thing to consider, Howard, I think it's too much too quick because they put in those spin-off movies as well, and then now TV stuff. It's overload, the supply and demand. I just think there's another Star Wars film. Ordinarily I'd be like, holy shit, the next episode's coming out. I've waited 3 years for this.
Yes.
That excitement isn't there anymore. And these things get released onto Blu-rays and stuff within about 4 months of cinema release. You could not get your hands on Empire Strikes Back for it seemed like an eternity, but I'm thinking it was around the time of Return of the Jedi coming into theatres that you could get the VHS of Empire. I'd only ever seen it one time.
Yeah.
Whereas Star Wars had recorded off the TV and, endlessly watched it on sick days off school and things,
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a change in the eras, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I just think that, like I said, that the plan with that trilogy, after all, I think it was always just make a film and respond to it, and that's why you end up with, as I've previously referred to it, the final episode, the Star Wars All Stars, it's all right, but there's no jeopardy, there's no stakes. Not for 1 minute am I expecting anybody to be any surprises. And I have to say as well, someone said to me recently, and I completely agreed. Have you noticed how? By the way, if you don't like Star Wars, I know you're hating this section. Don't worry, we will move on, right?
Yeah, I will move on.
But have you noticed, right? For me, the last iconic lightsaber battle was Darth Maul against Qui-Gon Jinn And I think everything since is just like, now it's just like how we're just trying to get as many lightsaber fights in as possible.
Yeah.
You know,
it certainly was, as many people have said, the highlight of The Phantom Menace. But again, why that guy, you know, that in the trailer you were like, oh, look at this villain, you know, he's like the new Darth Vader.
Yeah, and they should have kept him. They should have kept him. Yeah, Paul, you know, I was talking to Paul, our guitarist, the other night, and he was saying, they should have kept him. But the best thing about those first three prequels is Liam Neeson in that first film, because he just walks around. He was.
But yeah, I mean, with that point, I know you're not a fan of Rogue One from when we've chatted, but Mads Mikkelsen and Ben Mendelsohn are phenomenal in Rogue One, and I think that's the same thing of the Alec Guinness, Peter Cushing thing. You put in some heavyweight, some people with some chops in.
Yeah,
and,
bring the gravitas.
You know, it brings some weight to it, but at the same time, Natalie Portman's won an Oscar, you know, and she is terrible, you know.
Yeah, I
know. So it's not all, you know.
Bizarre, isn't it? It's bizarre that we live in that world where Natalie Portman's won an Oscar.
Yeah.
But, I'm just trying to think, who's the... Just going back to Liam Neeson for a second in that Star Wars film. I'm trying to remember, who's the creature he goes to visit to try and buy the parts?
Watto.
Watto,
He's a little guy, flying blue guy, isn't he?
Yeah. Nubian. Yeah, I remember him,
trader, isn't he? Or something, yeah.
Nubian credits, yeah. Yeah, I remember now, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, let's get off Star Wars, mate, because people are fucking sick of it.
Yeah, it's an episode on its own, and it's all been said and done. You know what it is? It ended when the Death Star blew up over Endor, and that's the shit. Luke Skywalker should not be living like a hermit, getting, you know, moaning about everything like a teenager in a bedroom.
Yeah.
He is the Jedi, right? What's next, son?
Brilliant. I love it. Well, look, what have you seen? You know, what have you seen recently? What have you seen in lockdown?
In lockdown, I've been in week 1 of lockdown and watched the entire series of something, right? Do you know? Does the phrase "the caddy" mean anything to you?
Oh yeah.
I've never seen this. BBC iPlayer. Come
mate.
on.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna leave you to explain this because you're so fucking right. And when the caddy is revealed, that episode,
Jesus, I was up off my chest.
Yes,
palms sweating.
I was just about to say I jumped up off my sofa.
Yeah, that was as close to Game of Thrones or something like that. Get you at its peak, you know, Red Wedding and episodes like that.
Yeah.
So it was just incredible, absolutely incredible.
Well, better mention it. So it's Line of Duty, the BBC operational police drama about internal affairs, but which, frankly, sounds so dry and boring. I wouldn't be surprised if no one checked it out. But it's fucking brilliant, isn't it? I mean, I don't. By the way, you know the little copper in it, Steve.
Yeah. I've watched a couple of films with him in recently. He's Glaswegian.
I was just going to say he's Glaswegian. That Cockney accent of his is brilliant.
Yeah. I watched a gangster movie called The Wee Man.
Oh yeah, he's in that.
Because of his height, but obviously, you know, it's based on a true guy in Glasgow who they call the Wee Man. He's hard as nails.
Well, do you know do you know his real life story? He wasn't.
I know nothing of him until I watched Line of Duty and thought, I like this guy, but
he's a fucking footballer. He was playing for Motherwell or someone like that, and right. But in the youth team, and there was an open audition for like a Mike Leigh film or so. I think it was Mike Leigh, and there was no, it won't be Mike Leigh. It'd be one of the kitchen sink drama mob. Okay?
Yeah, Ken Loach.
Yes, absolutely. And he went to an open audition, and of course they love casting non-actors, and he got cast in that, and he got pulled aside and said, "Look, this is what you're supposed to be doing. This is what you're meant to be doing. You're really good at this." And he was like, "Oh, am I?"
Yeah.
And he's been an actor ever since. He gave up on football because of either Ken Loach or whoever it was plucked him out of obscurity, and he's been acting ever since.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, the other cast members are coming in and out of it. It's like who's who of British talent, you know. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, film stars and people who've done big TV things. It's just incredible.
Well, what I like about that as well is, and funnily enough, that moves us on to a sort of something. There's a little wider subject. But you were saying, just as you pointed out there, look at the guest stars though, they're fucking huge, and it's like, yeah, and you know why? So the BBC can sell that internationally rather than other companies buy the rights and remake it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, so basically the BBC sees more wedge. So they say, no, you got to buy. This is finished. You ain't buying the rights to remake it. Ain't getting fucking remade. All of these actors are known in your countries. You need to pay.
Yeah.
You know?
Well. Yeah, I'd be happy with just BBC iPlayer if Netflix went down, you know.
Well,
and if the internet goes down, I can go back to my DVDs, you know. I'll be all
brilliant.
Right. I'll be all right.
Oh man, I tell you, I mean, it is amazing what what's coming out. But Line of Duty, that you just brought up there. I mean, I'm so jealous that you discovered that from scratch.
And then then my wife watched the whole thing in a binge as well. Honestly, separately to me. So honestly, we watched, I reckon, like a season every day or 2 days. It's not that many episodes, is it? I don't think 6 or something.
Six episodes per season. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think the first one was one less or one more. It was, as established it, but I hope there's more to come. It was phenomenal.
Oh man, the series with Keely Hawes in it.
But the Caddy,
mate, she is fucking horrible.
She's called Lindsay Denton, right? Because I want this metal song that's like, "Don't mess with Lindsay Denton." You know, she's just insane as shit. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, totally.
Like kind of evil but clever, manipulative. You know, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
We don't want to spoil it for anyone, of course. But
no, not at all. And do
good.
Seriously, check that out because it is fucking awesome.
You know, another thing, Howard, and again, not to say anything, but it's great how the storyline continues over like a lot of seasons.
Yes.
They're not. You think, we're finished with our case, but you're not. It's linked. You know, brilliant writing. You know, and not many like that.
Yeah, no, there isn't many like that, and I just the, like you say, I think what separates a lot of TV programs is there's a type of series that does a story each episode. Do you know what I mean? But they also have a storyline in the background that overarches the whole season. Right?
Yeah.
And then there's your TV shows like Sopranos, The Wire, etc., where it's just the same storylines forever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like basically.
I mean, Game of Thrones again comes back round to a character rocks up in series 6 or something, and you often forget. I think that's why in America, because sometimes when I have watched kind of copies, so to speak, sometimes the HBO have a little recap on which majority of seasons I watched. Either bought them or watched them weekly. I think I just a couple of episodes I missed, so I got my hands on it. And that's the thing. Like they'll recap that, whereas we're expected just to kind of go, "Who the hell's that guy?" And then you realise he's a guy who was in series 1. Yeah. But it's important now, 5 years down the line.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's clever stuff,
Yeah, big time.
I think it's, again, I was thinking if, a show like Lost, I mean, I don't want to talk about Lost, it drove me mad, the ending, but, they must be post-it notes all over the place on a wall going like, how does this person interact with that one? And what will happen if this one does that? Is there a plot hole we're going to create or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's intense,
It
lots
is.
to think about.
It is, and I also I think there's a lot of casting going on as well. But like I said, I think ultimately those seasons, but sometimes season can surprise you. Do you know what? I was about to start moaning about, like, you know, the difference between those one story per episode and then, you know, an overarching story through the whole season, and that's all it covers. But sometimes TV series can surprise you, and they can turn into something that you weren't expecting. Now, I started watching Grimm right from the very beginning.
I know what it is, yeah.
Yeah, and it's perfectly inoffensive, and then just at the end of the first season you think, that's an interesting way to leave it. And then season 2 starts, and you think, right, okay. And then by the end of season 2 you're going, this is a completely different fucking programme. What have they done? It's fucking amazing. But it's like they spent 26 episodes going, oh, you just wait for episode 27.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's literally and it just builds and builds and builds, and it starts out being this sort of kind of like, you know, slightly more adult version of something like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, except he kills
that's what I imagined.
Characters, yeah. And you think, oh yeah, it's all right, and it's a bit knockabout and blah blah. But what they do is, because, and again, it's from Grimm's fairy tales, so it's not from some dickhead writer's brain where he's come up with a brilliant logline that'll last 2 seasons and then fall apart. You know, this is Grimm's fairy tales. This is like 6 or 7 series that it ends up being, with about 20 episodes, 24 episodes a season. So that's a shitload of TV. But it's got all of the backstory and of the depth of all of those Grimm's fairy tales. And what it ends up building is this incredible world that exists that we can't see, etc., etc. I'm really doing a top sales job on this, but the point is that it became something completely different. I was amazed, you know, and yet then you've got stuff like Ozark, and that is just like the business.
Well, it's another one that's been recommended, Howard, but again, it's opening the box, isn't it?
Right.
Catch up, but I will, I think. Yeah.
Oh, mate. Yeah.
Better Call Saul's top of the list at the minute, and Peaky's haven't seen those yet. Well, I've seen series 1 of Better Call Saul, but
yeah, I've seen.
I would like to catch it up.
Look, I've done both of those, and Peaky's. I genuinely think the very worst episode of Peaky Blinders is the first episode.
Right.
It's but honestly, it's worth it. It gets better and better. It's great. And
well,
then,
again, look at the cast as well. You know, it's got to be worth checking out.
Well, kind of. Season 3, unfortunately, has a big star doing a almost comedy turn.
Right.
Yeah, you watch it and you go, they managed to get a Hollywood actor, but they didn't have a strong enough director to turn round to the Hollywood actor and going, you're not actually going to do that, are you?
Right. I know what you mean, yeah. It's like... They've just gone, I'm going to make this up because it's not going to be this person, but they've gone like, holy shit, Gene Hackman's in my show. He can just do what he wants. Yeah, because whatever he's doing is cool. I mean, And we struggled so hard to get him that I'm not going to say anything that might piss him off to see him decide he doesn't want to do it. No, exactly that. You know, one of those, that's an interesting choice, you know, which actually means, fucking hell, you're not going to do that, are you? Yeah.
Well, it's like the making of Usual Suspects when all of the all of the cast went up to Bryan Singer to say, look, like whatever Benicio del Toro is doing, it's really not working for us, and we can't fucking understand him. What the fuck's going on? Right. And Bryan Singer and it was Gabriel Byrne who led the, you know, the plea to the director, and he turned around and he went, he's a fucking genius, just let him do what he does and play off it and it'll work, believe me. Yeah. And you know, this story's being told by Gabriel Byrne, and he goes right. And he says, and fair play, you know, he was right, because it absolutely works. And you know, I mean, at the time Gabriel Byrne had the biggest. Yeah, I'd done the most work, I suppose. You know, he didn't know who Kevin Spacey was. You know. No, he was the movie. You know, he was the movie heavyweight. And Bryan Singer both had the ups and downs, right, so to speak. But they were both massive talents, you know. But he was the movie heavyweight in there. But you also had Pete Postlethwaite just popping in. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh, I tell you what, mate, I have heard some stories about him over the years. Postlethwaite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he liked to party. He liked to party, and he liked everything that you would associate with a good time. There's a mate of mine knows him really well, and or I knew him really well. Worked with him a number of times. In fact, I'll have to try and get him on here because he's an actor himself. And he said that he was he's top man, didn't have a bad word to say about him. He said he does love a he does love a party. And,
wow, you would never have thought it, would you? You know what I mean? He doesn't seem the most rock and roll guy, but that's the thing.
Yeah. Well, apparently the last time my mate saw him before Postlethwaite passed away. He said, "Oh, how are you?" And he said, "Well, I'm a healthy liver these days. I'm off this, I'm off that, I'm off that, I'm off that, and and apparently that's going to prolong my life." And my friend was like, "Oh, that's great to hear." And he was like, "Well, not really, because it's really boring now."
You think he was always a professional at work, though, yeah?
Oh, he was, yeah. He was saying it was like, even if he was, a little worse for wear, he was always absolutely on it. But I should get him on because everybody would know who he is as well. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking now because otherwise I'm gonna have to reveal who he is.
The only bit of goss I have like that is a friend of mine. He was direct, like he is an art director, or I don't know the exact job description, but he writes adverts, commercials,
Yeah.
And they were doing this massive campaign for, a giant car manufacturer in America. And they used like A-list Hollywood directors to shoot the commercials. Also had famous like celebrity stroke actors, they had like big names in the adverts as well. And so there was two directors my friend worked with, and the first was Doug Liman.
Brilliant.
We're talking about
Swingers
later.
Yeah.
But obviously he's made, he's directed Cruise and, the first Bourne film and things like that. He's pretty massive. And the second was Richard Linklater.
Yeah.
Now, I'd heard that, when Richard Linklater did the Boyhood film that took him, 20 years to film or whatever, about that film, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, I think, there's some amazing feat to do a film like that, and it probably could have got more, like, nominations and stuff like that for awards. But I'd heard, I don't know where, news, not a connection in the industry or anything, but I thought that Linklater's a bit of a frosty guy, and like he mightn't be that popular with, other peers, Yeah. That's what I heard. Doug Liman, on the other hand, I just thought would be, chill out. But apparently, Richard Linklater rocks up to shoot the commercial. Total professional, lovely guy, no ego, anything like that, right? Flip that over. Doug Liman gets out of some limo with two twins or something.
All right.
I don't know if he's been indulging, partying or whatever, but, probably not awkward, probably amicable, but, like, not completely professional in that sense, you know what I mean, of how he would show up for work,
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of things like Postlethwaite where you don't imagine that of people, but they're just like us, really,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, it's the same thing, isn't it? It doesn't matter what the industry is, whether it's, whether it's music, film, whatever. People are people, and that's just the way it rolls, isn't it? But it always amazes me now when to this day where you see something, and it's like load of actors, great director, blah, and it's shit. Do you know what I mean? And you watch it and you just think, didn't anybody whilst they were doing this just like notice?
I mean, that is the mystery to me, how any film is bad, really, because if there's somebody behind it and it's not just somebody's, pet project that they've raised $100,000 or, $1 million or whatever, and straight to TV. But you can't imagine it, can you? Because you think, why would you sign on to that? You must have read that script and thought at some point, I'm hesitant about this or what have you. I don't know.
I think
beggars belief. I don't know.
Well, it comes back to what every creative industry struggles with, and that's the fact that it's an industry, it's business, and people who are going to make the decisions are always going to be the money people, and so right. I'm going to go on a tangent to prove a point, but you'll see where I'm going with this, right?
Right.
Two comedian friends of mine always play this game about trying to come up with a perfect murder, the way to get away with a perfect murder. And one night they were bullshitting in a bar, having done a gig, and they got talking to a copper, and one of them says to the copper, "Right, I'm going to run my idea for getting away with murder past you, okay? And I want you to tell me what you think." And he goes, "Yeah, okay, cool." So he said, "Right, first of all," and he said, "Right, a friend and I," and the copper just says, "Stop there, you just got caught."
Yeah.
And he was like, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, you just doubled your chances of getting caught. You just doubled your chances of something going wrong. And times that by about 300 people, throw in some studio executives, and then you've got a movie."
Yeah.
You know, you've
totally
got
get you, yeah.
millions of complicated working parts, you know. For instance, you've got this absolutely fucking amazing idea that you know is going to work, that everybody, blah, 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 and you just get, marketing says no.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it must be heartbreaking. It must be heartbreaking. I mean, just imagine before you used to get all these director's cuts and shit like that. Well, even movies we've been talking about today, you know, the Star Wars All-Stars, that last version.
Like you say, now not many people have got the full creative control to just do a print and release what they vision, you know.
We're gonna start talking about Denis Villeneuve again. This is gonna be for the third podcast in a row.
Has Villeneuve got carte blanche just to put out what he wants? He's got final cut, has he?
Well, do you see anything that is commercially appealing about Arrival at all? Do you know what I mean? It's not like it's not like there's no obvious decisions in his movies where you're going, well, clearly the studio had to say it now.
Well, yeah, but I'm trying to phrase it right. But I think, you know, by the end of the day, it's such a good film that somebody with a bit of sense must have watched it in the screening room and went, all right, I don't want to mess with that.
Well, the reason why I think he's kind of got something like Final Cut or whatever it is that when you watch Arrival, when it finishes, you know, no matter who you are, no matter how well you've followed it, you are going to be a bit confused. You are going to need time to digest what you've just seen and everything. Now, if you put that past the test audiences, you know, most studios are going to go, right, we need to completely rethink it.
I wonder, you know, I don't know chicken and egg which of these films was released first, but something like Interstellar, right? You know, pretty baffling.
I think Interstellar came out first. But if they can sell that and go, look at this, I don't know the box office and things like that, you know, I mean. It was his least successful film. It was his least successful film.
It was his least successful one.
Yes. Yeah. Interstellar is
superb.
I didn't. I thought it was great on Earth, and the minute they left Earth, I just lost all interest.
I had to revisit it to kind of get an understanding of, and I still don't really understand it, but I kind of think I understand it. You know what I mean?
Well, just wait till Tenet. You're not going to understand that either.
Well, that's it. Yeah, we've gone to Nolan now, son.
I know. We're on a roll, aren't we?
You know, I mean, I've discussed this with people, and you know, I think his best film's The Prestige.
Well, do you know what? You're not alone there. Personally, I do like The Prestige. Don't get me wrong. I think
it just seems a smaller film, even though it's got like massive stars in, and it's cost a lot of money to make.
Oh, look, it's a great film, but I still just cannot look any further than Inception.
I do own the Blu-ray, and I saw it at the cinema. I haven't had a rewatch.
Oh, mate! Honestly, I think it's the biggest big budget mainstream star packed concept movie that you're ever gonna see. I mean, it's
yeah,
everyone is in it. There's all sorts going on. It is incredibly confusing at times, but it's just fucking works, and the majesty of some of it, it's incredible. I mean,
somebody said to me yesterday, Nolan, he's old school. I know that he still shoots on film. I think that even there's a lab that remains open, or a factory that makes film just for Christopher Nolan. That may be an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. He's one of the last ambassadors of old school. But this person said, Nolan, he's so old school, he doesn't use CGI. So, you haven't seen Inception then, have you?
Yeah. You haven't seen...
He just forgot.
I was going to say, you haven't seen Dunkirk then? Because last time I checked, he didn't just go and bomb a beach.
Yeah, well, he could have packed the beach out with a few more thousand extras for CGI, I suppose. But
some little.
Yeah.
The best story I've ever heard about CGI. I think it was that movie Pearl Harbor, right?
Yeah.
And Cuba Gooding Jr.'s in it. And
all right. I can't remember him being in it, but yeah.
Well, I think it was that. I might have got my movies mixed up, but anyway.
No, he probably was.
Well, not long after his Oscar win, right? And he said, anyway, like Cuba Gooding Jr. is telling the story, and he said, we're all floating in this water tank, which is, about like a fucking mile wide or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, there's been bombs going off, and the director yells, cut, and there's like bits of floating debris are being put out because they're on fire and all that. And he said, you just as the sound of those like, extinguishers blasting just all dies down. He goes, there's this slight moment of calm, and right off in the distance, you just hear somebody shout, "Show me the money."
That's amazing, isn't it?
It was just like, man, I am never gonna live that down.
He must get that. Like, that is it. He's getting that forever, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely forever. Fucking brilliant.
He needs to have in his casket. Someone needs to put a phone in there with a little thing on that when it gets wheeled away. You just be like, "Show me the money."
Oh God, absolutely.
Wood,
But again, we're kind of moving on to. I don't know how I've managed that, but we're kind of moving on to Tom Cruise then as a.
Well, hey, I had a soft spot for the Cruise in the '80s, man.
Me too. And it all absolutely hit a brick fucking wall after I watched Going Clear, the Scientology documentary.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I can't remember if it was that or Louis Theroux, or if we're talking about the same thing. I don't know, but
no, we're not. There's an actual documentary. Well, funnily enough, the documentary is directed by Paul Haggis.
Oh well, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because he was a Scientologist for 20 years. And he wrote he wrote an open letter and had it published in Variety, basically saying, "I've been in it 20 years. I've just after 20 years, you finally get to the top level to find out what it's all about, and it turns out it's a load of utter shit. I can't believe it."
He's not teaching us anything. However,
he still never speaks to his daughter.
Yeah.
He still never speaks. He's lost his daughter to Scientology. Wow. And he said the in the movie, it's amazing. He published that article. And he went out, and when he came home, there was 30 Scientologists on his lawn, basically saying, "You need to take that down." And it's it goes from there, basically.
Well, they were definitely confronting like Louis in groups and following him around, and it was really like sort of X-Files type stuff going on.
And it's kind of weird.
It's quite creepy, very creepy.
Oh, very creepy. Oh, it's also quite.
Hiding, if you believe if you have a faith or ever do what you want to do, it's absolutely cool. No problem. But they're acting really strange.
Well, the weird thing is that you watch any documentary on Scientology, and Scientology seems to treat Tom Cruise a bit like a sort of Jesus Christ kind of figure. And it is.
I'm surprised it hasn't affected his work and stuff. Like there would be people. I know he obviously generates a lot of money for Hollywood, but you would still think that some people would not want to work with the guy.
Yeah.
And another thing is, I do like. I really like him, and I will go to see Top Gun too, right? But I when he's interviewed and stuff like that, there's a lot of guests come on, right? I mean, I'll tell you a prime example. Like Ricky Gervais doesn't give a shit. He rocks up. He has a paint on Graham Norton, right? Totally natural. You can tell that's the guy that you're going to meet if you meet him. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, but with Cruise, he's the way he acts with the fans and all that. I just can't tell how much of it's a front and how much of it, is genuinely the guy, and how much of it is like an image, a manufactured thing. I don't know. I'm funny with him.
I know what you mean. I think is it's like when people get to that level. There's a case of, and
it's been at that level for like 30 something years. It's amazing.
It is, and but when people get to that level, there is an element where they've done so many interviews. Initially there's media training, and and a lot regularly get their media training topped up. And it's quite amusing because I've worked with companies who do media training, and media training is basically this: no matter what question anyone asks you, just keep going back to the same points that you want to make, and that's it. That is media training. So it's no matter what question comes at you, just twist it and go back to the points that you're trying to make. If you've got an agenda and if you've got a key agenda, no matter how many times people try and ask you or bend it and try and get you, you just keep coming back. And that is all. Right. So basically, in other words, you come on giving the impression that you're going to do an interview and ask their questions, but really you've been media trained. You are going to take their questions and get your answers out. That's what's going to happen. But yeah, well, we've got a tangent on media training now.
Well, I've got a good link. I've got an amazing link from Tom Cruise into something more spectacular.
Right, go for it. Where are we going next?
So in the 80s, I went to see this film 3 Saturdays in a row at the Odeon in Newcastle. It's called The Color of Mooney. Now, I went probably as a fan of Top Gun and Risky Business. And obviously that was probably the first Scorsese film that I saw. Certainly the first Scorsese that I saw in a cinema. Which obviously for probably everyone that you get on here, it's a lifelong kind of love affair with a lot of these films,
Oh, big time. I mean, he's the man, isn't he? He's the man.
Yeah.
He's old, The Irishman. He's gone into another level now. Now he's developed technology that I heard Jamie Foxx being interviewed the other day, and they're going to be using the same technology in the Mike Tyson story, because Jamie Foxx is going to play. He's going to play the young and the old Mike Tyson. And he was explaining about it. Actually, he did a bit of the voice and everything as well. It was fucking brilliant. I'm looking forward to it now.
Wow.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I think I might be wrong, but I just haven't seen Jamie Foxx in much for a while.
Yeah, that's because the last few things he's done have been fucking shit.
I don't even remember. I can't even remember what say they were.
He ended up in something where it's like he was a cop who had his son kidnapped and held, and so he had to do some stuff, and it was other bent cops that had,
ringing the bell.
Yeah, and it was a bell marked bollocks.
I didn't like the one where he was like a homeless musician in LA.
Oh, fuck knows, mate. I don't know.
I can't remember. I mean, obviously, it was one of those like it might get a nomination because he's playing, someone who's on hard times.
Well,
I can't remember what it was called.
I'm not the biggest fan of the Jamie Foxx oeuvre, I have to say. I wouldn't be able to say, but yeah, I mean, going back to Scorsese, yeah, he's pioneering at his age, which I think is incredible.
Yeah.
But I don't think we can mention Scorsese without mentioning his Avengers comments. And for anybody who doesn't know, he basically said he doesn't really think of them as cinema. He thinks of them more as theme park rides. Gary Foalle, your take on that?
I don't mind it, Howard. I mean, I can see Marty's point, but I don't think it needs to be too harsh. I think, there's room for everything, isn't there? There's people who who wouldn't like Marty's stuff, but the die-hard, Comic-Con adventurers or what have you. I don't know. I just think it's I don't know. It starts little like slagging matches and little kind of internet, social media spats and that as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, and do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a small artisan kind of food shop. Basically saying, slagging off supermarkets, basically saying that's not fucking food. And it's like, well, it clearly is, and it's very busy and lots of people are buying it.
Yeah.
So,
there's an audience for everything. It's, I enjoy some of the Marvel. I don't like the lot, and I can take it or leave it. Whereas Marty's, Purple Patch or essential films, and I will still see new releases. And I haven't seen all of his films, admittedly. So that's probably something I should be doing.
Well, yeah, but there's like, you've seen the important ones, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you what, one that really surprised me, and it's ridiculous I hadn't seen this till about 10, 15 years ago, was The King of Comedy.
Right.
Phenomenal. I couldn't believe that I hadn't seen that,
I haven't seen it.
Have you not?
No.
Well, there you go. Get on your list, Howard.
Really?
Brilliant.
Well, do you know what, as well? What's always put me off is it's about stand-up comedy, and I'm like, I don't want to see somebody acting as a stand-up because it winds me up.
De Niro in that. The thing is, as well, I think when you've seen it, you understand Bobby's comedic roles later on when he stopped doing the method acting in.
Well, it's full on Bobby as well, isn't it? It's not dirty grandpa De Niro. It's proper De Niro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Please tell me, have you seen that Dirty Grandpa?
I think so.
No, you'd know if you had.
Well,
no, you would know if you'd had, mate.
But not at the cinema, obviously.
You'd know if you'd seen it because you'd be going, oh, Bobby, man, what are you doing?
Do you know what? I get it mixed up with. There's a one with Johnny Knoxville where he's dressed up as a grandpa and he just annoys people, but it's reality. On a phone or something. But yeah, I think I have seen the. I think I have seen the De Niro one.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy Pacino's turn in Jack and Jill, by the way.
Oh, really?
It's so terrible that there's just something. Well, he plays himself, and then he cops off at Adam Sandler dressed as a woman.
Oh my God!
Right. So you think, come on, this is like, let's go from Heat to these two, right? Yeah. Let's just take it down,
I can't believe that you've just gone to what are you going to be doing next? Quoting white chicks. Have you seen the Wayans oeuvre? What genius comedy?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? These guys, but they're still going to come up on a list later,
Oh, definitely. Look, and for some reason we're talking about the Wayans, and all I can think, the Wayans brothers, and all I can think of now is The Last Boy Scout.
Hey, Howard. This is you'll get me in trouble again, right? Because I don't remember The Last Boy Scout.
Oh my God! Great film.
I know it was the peak of what year was it out? Like early 90s.
Yeah. Pete Willis. Pete Willis.
It's the peak of that, Hollywood kind of shooter film. I assume it's in LA where it's based.
Yeah.
It's probably got Tony Scott style kind of gloss on the film as well.
Yeah.
And some kind of guitars, kind of like a Trevor Rabin type of soundtrack as well.
Look, mate, it's just fucking rocking. It really is.
I need to see it.
And yeah, it's yeah.
I believe I must have seen it in the day, but I don't know. Another one that I've not seen is Bad Boys.
Right, yeah.
I'm not going to compare the two, but the massive, the big Hollywood action films,
Yeah.
I haven't seen Bad Boys with Sean Penn.
But also there's Bruce. But also Bruce. Bruce Willis opens up a whole fucking action genre right there, doesn't it? Because it's like he was just Mr. Action movie for God knows how long.
He was interesting because he was around in the Arnie and Stallone era, but he's not as buff. He's more like a normal guy, isn't he?
Well, he was an actor, wasn't he?
He still could play a tough guy, but you know what I mean. He was like kind of your blue collar bloke.
Yeah. Well, he made it in TV as well. Let's not forget. He came from moonlighting. And that's where his career started. But he's also, you can't ever imagine like Stallone or Arnie turning up in a Quentin Tarantino movie.
No, yeah.
So he's had quite an interesting career, although he does seem to be sort of universally sort of hated within the industry.
I wouldn't know about that. I
Well,
don't know. I mean, obviously nowadays it's just kind of like anything goes and.
Yeah, but you see Stallone slagging him off about the Expendables.
No.
Because he's not in the last Expendables, and that's
right.
And Stallone just basically made it public basically said the guy's a dick, and he wants more money than everybody combined.
I mean, it's odd because the guy, the guys who are the newbies in cinema, like Statham, those guys now are like superstars. And kind of equal billing to Arnie and Stallone. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, I've just remembered an anecdote from the filming of The Irishman. Right? Stephen Graham.
Oh yeah.
Right, Stephen Graham, he's acting opposite Pacino in the prison, and they've had lunch. And Pacino's got ice cream, and Stephen Graham was like, we got any, like Marty's like, right, we've got the tape, let's do another one. So Stephen went over and he goes, have we got any ice cream left? And we're like, yeah, there's 2. And he goes, right, okay, so give me one. Because he says, I'm thinking, if I fuck this up, we've got another take after this. So he goes, and it's the scene where, and I'm not giving this away because if you see it, it's not a big thing, but basically, he and Pacino have a bit of an argument, and then and Stephen Graham swipes Pacino's ice cream off the table and grabs it.
Yeah.
Well, that's not in the script. All of that was an improv version. So Stephen Graham swipes the ice cream, grabs him, and pulls him up, and Marty shouts, "Cut!" And Stephen Graham takes his hands off him, puts him back in his chair straight away, and looks at him. And Pacino's got this huge smile on his face, and he just looks across and goes, "Hey, Marty, did you see that? The kid scared me."
Great,
and it's like he's calling, and Stephen Graham is saying, he's just called me the kid. I'm 44.
I listened to Stephen Graham's Desert Island Discs a few months ago, I think. I don't know if it had been out a while or what, but it's an interesting story about when he's a kid and that. Like, it's very interesting life.
Yeah, and
he's a lovely, lovely bloke.
Well, he's had a very tough upbringing, and he's. But the thing about him is he looks out for people, because I'm saying it now. She is gonna win an Oscar. She is going to be this country's next great female actor, and it's not a massive call because it's Jodie Comer from Killing Eve. But the simple fact is, Killing Eve is fucking shit. Dog shit TV program. All over the place. Tonally a mess. Fucking story plot that you could drive a bus through.
Well,
but Jodie Comer.
Series, but I enjoy it myself. But it's not in the top 10.
No, but she is spellbinding. And especially in the first series, where it's even more all over the place than it is the rest of the time. She's just incredible. And
she is.
And whose agent has she got? The same agent as Stephen Graham. Why? Because Stephen Graham acted with her. He had one scene with her 5 years ago.
Wow.
And he took her aside and said, "Look, have you got an agent?" And she was like, "No, I just got this through." And he was like, "Right, okay, you are going to have an agent by the end of the week. You're going to have my agent." And he rang his agent and said, "You need to sign this girl up. I'm not suggesting it. I'm telling you to do it."
What I think another thing's good, I take it to another show, but when I first saw The Wire, I didn't know that Idris Elba was British.
Oh, thank you very much. You've done it. The only Idris Elba role that it is acceptable to like is Stringer Bell, and everything else he's done is fucking terrible.
Yeah, but I think, he's got the one thing that he does, and he does very well, but
Believe
believe
you and me, though.
Could he be Bond? I don't want it as Bond.
Oh, Gary, believe you and me, you clearly haven't seen the 2 series of the sitcom that he wrote that is on Sky.
No, I haven't.
Oh, fucking hell. I tell you what, Idris, I'll write some Shakespeare and see how you fucking like it, you cunts. Oh, man. Jesus.
But Geordie Comer, it's the same thing, isn't it? If we didn't know, now we know she's from Liverpool or has the Scouse accent.
Yes.
I don't know much about her, but when you watch that show, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, Gary.
But I have then subsequently seen or heard her interviewed, and she talks about how, that was something that she's done, whether it's just as a kid messing about or whatever, but she has a penchant for doing accents. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like I said, I was absolutely blown away. Look, Gary, I've got an idea here, right? We're 1 hour 15 minutes in, and
that's a long time, man.
Yeah, but to be fair, I think we should do a part 2.
All I've done on my list, Star Wars, mate. And the caddy.
Brilliant. Well, look,
yeah, let's enjoy that.
Look, man, brilliant.
I don't think I like. In a way, of all of your esteemed, people that you've had on here, probably least deserving of the part 2, a special 2-parter. But
look, it's called Movie Bollocks for a reason. I can have like one of my mates, from bands on like yourself, who is an actual genuine full on friend of mine. To somebody I've met twice who edits Peaky Blinders. You know what I mean? The idea is that let's just get everyone on, Yeah.
But, when your ratings go down, the least played episode, they reconsider the part 2, Quick one while we're on about Killing Eve. I watched a film recently with Sandra Oh, Catfight.
That is an interesting film.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that is an interesting film, and it must be because Sandra Oh just irritates me, and I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it, and but there's something about her performance, or if it's her, I don't know, but I just can't get on with stuff that she's in. But do you know what?
She's probably in loads of things. I watched a film from 10 years ago. She's the buddy of Jennifer Aniston or something,
Yeah.
I don't know much about her other than these two things that we're talking about.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Man. Well, look, let's get part 2 done, because there's loads of other stuff, and I know people will have enjoyed listening to this, hopefully. And
hopefully, yeah.
Because but it is 2 people just talking shit from one subject to another, isn't it?
Well, look at listeners. Part 2, we're going to talk about 80s horror, and the kind of video nasty era. We'll touch on that, Howard. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Look, I'm going to put you in charge, mate, because I don't know what we've done and what we haven't, and you appear to have a list, so you're in charge.
Yeah, and I did recently, since I've been deliberating, your end questions, which will be in part 2.
Yes.
I changed my favourite director.
Ooh.
Because I did a kind of...
Well, it's actually,
hang
on.
Almost the who's inspired who. Yeah. Who's inspired who that now gives us Villeneuve.
Well, look, do you want to...
And I've kind of got a theory on this as well.
Well, look, do you want to... Well, let's do them now, and then we can do them again in part 2 and see if any have changed then. Yeah, because...
Okay, fire away.
Right, okay, so we got to start with... I always say favourite movie, but I allow people 3.
That's perfect, 'cause I've got 3.
Go on then.
I want to talk about the 4th one next time, but
right.
3. I haven't watched it for a long time, but I think it's a good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
I think so. I mean, it's like The Godfather. That's one of these things you don't just put on and, it takes a long time. But I think as well, it's probably got a bit of, there's probably some emotional
it's metallic
tie in. That's probably my dad introduced us to it as well.
Right, okay. And also,
and I know fine well there's some of these films of that era still, like, he asked me about them now, like, can you get that on a of the disc. I'm like, of course you can't get anything ever now, you know.
Yeah.
He's got an old VHS or something, you know. But yeah.
It's
So,
it's funny you should say that. It's funny you should say that about your dad, because I got my mum Netflix 18 months ago, and because she spent her entire life being dictated by the TV what she can watch and when, she's 18 months into being able to view on demand, but she still hasn't got her head around it.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because she just can't get her head around the
yeah.
fact that she's in charge of the TV, and it's not the other way around.
Yeah.
But right, next movie.
I'm going to say Heat. Pacino
Brilliant.
and De Niro.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a flip.
I mean, these things come up all the time. I think, to be honest, when I have a top 10, half of the top 10 are less, you know, the more kind of in that 80s sort of video era and the kind of possibly B movies, but they're not, because the big cinema films, but they're less, you know, they're flawed, but I just have, you know, a soft spot for. So these ones are like genuine masterpieces. Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and Heat.
So, say again.
And my third one, are you still there?
I am still here.
Sorry, I thought we had a technical difficulty. Okay, the third one was a film you told me to watch, actually.
Oh.
And to this day, blows my mind, is Swingers.
Oh, man. Wow.
Because I think a lot of films where it's about, like, kind of young people partying and stuff,
Yeah.
if I revisit them, that's not me anymore. Kind of, but, you know. Like, you know, when, you know, I'm not hitting the town in the same way. But something about that, I just love it. The script's perfect, isn't it? And Jon Favreau now, you know, could you go back and tell Mikey in Swingers that he is going to run Star Wars at Disney? Like, you know, and Vince Vaughn will be one of the biggest kind of comedy stars of the 21st century for a bit. I think, you know, his stock might have gone down, but he definitely did some big movies. He definitely, you know, when it's a film about two aspiring actors, you know, they both kind of made it in real life, haven't they?
Oh, mate, do you know what? Here is the story behind that, and the story behind it is basically that I went to the cinema to see something else. I went with my old flatmate Robbo, and we went to the cinema to see something else, and we couldn't get in. And I said, well, look, let's go see Swingers. And they were all like, you sure? And I was like, look, just trust me. I've heard it's really good. I know what it's about. I've seen some clips. And we all came out and just went, never have I been more glad to not be able to get in to see a film, because we'd never have gone to see that. And we fucking loved it.
Yeah, and Howard, it's probably only about 90 minutes. There's not a wasted scene in the thing. And you know when they do the pastiche to Reservoir Dogs as well.
Yes, yeah.
It's got everything in it.
I love the speech by Vince Vaughn when he's talking, he's saying, yeah, it's like, you know, it's like that character in a movie, you know, he's like that kind of character, and you're not sure what to make of him. It's like he could be a nice guy, or he could be an asshole. You're not kind of sure. And the fact is, like, he's describing his character in the movie that you're watching, but they're talking about another movie. It's just fucking great. Love it. I know all of you listening to this as well who are thinking, Jon Favreau, you know, really? Can he act? Yeah. And you're thinking you're thinking Vince Vaughn, he's shit. Just watch these two guys as thin, funny, brilliant actors and comedians. The movie Swingers, check it out. That's a great show.
It's you go on YouTube, you put Swingers, Jon Favreau telephone call. That might spoil the movie. Actually, watch the movie. Watch the whole thing.
Yeah. But it is great. It is great. Okay, well that's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm going to go straight into favorite male director, favorite female director, or just favorite director.
If you're talking female, you're always going to come out of Catherine Bigelow, really, aren't you? And I liked some of the early stuff, but I hadn't thought about this, so I just had one director. So let's just stick with this, right?
Okay. Right,
now, it's not going to take long, don't get me wrong, right? So, I was thinking about all of the great, you know, like the movie brats, you know, Friedkin and Spielberg and Scorsese and De Palma and Coppola, you know, all made amazing films back in the day.
Yeah.
But then I think the next generation, they're not a generation younger, but they're kind of the next guys who appeared on the scene, really. You know, you've got like Ridley Scott and Michael Mann, But I realised that both in the work of like Nolan and Villeneuve, you can totally see like Heat. You can totally see Blade Runner. Well, Villeneuve's made Blade Runner, you know, but you know what I mean. You can see the inspiration of their like epic scale,
yes.
You know, and just they've used the same cinematographers and things that I've come across as well. But that led me to read somebody else who has realised hasn't made a bad film. It's David Fincher.
Wow.
And that's who I'm going to go for.
Wow. That is a big call.
On reading this today, I found that he's making a film about the making of Citizen Kane. That's his next project. It's cast. I mean, I guess it's in production, really.
Well, that's interesting about not made a bad film, because I
don't own all the films and I don't like them equally, mind Howard, but I don't. You know, they're not bad, that's for sure.
No, I know what you're saying. It's like, you know, I'd rather watch a bad Fincher movie over, you know, a fucking amazing Michael Bay movie any day of the week. Well, there's no such thing. But yeah, no, you're right. Do you know what? He is without doubt one of my favourites as well. I mean, I think anyone who can. There's a rowing scene in The Social Network.
Yeah.
And anyone who can make a rowing scene seem like a fucking action scene in the middle of a movie that has got the vibe of a documentary and a drama. Yeah. And he does it through shot direction, through lighting choices and music choices.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. They've always just had beautiful cinematography, all of the films, you know.
Yeah. I'm not a massive fan of Panic Room, I've got to be honest.
You know what? I think that might be in my list of films that I'm going to give a watch and then give away or what have you. You know, I'm trying to downscale the collection. So it's B-list, but I did enjoy it at the time. But yeah, it's probably not as good as, it's certainly not as good as, you know, the best ones, you know.
Yeah.
And Gone Girl, the last film, I only saw it at the cinema. I haven't
Loved
gone
it.
back to that. But,
mate, watch that again.
Did really enjoy it.
Yeah. No, that's a love. I think I've watched it about 3 times. And Rosamund Pike is amazing, which takes us to.
Yeah, I heard you saying.
Favourite male actor, favourite female actor.
Again, I've got this little history thing, right? So you know, these weren't people that I knew instantly. However, the first film I saw on VHS at home, I'd seen some things that friends smoking in the Bandit, that sort of thing, was the first adult film, like a grown-up film that I saw as an 11-year-old, was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Wow.
Now, I didn't get it. You know, I did get it and I really enjoyed it, but you kind of were more laughing at the kind of things that was kind of comedic things happening to people, which aren't really funny in a sense of what the guys are doing in this institution, but it is a really funny film, obviously. Yeah. Written in that way as well. But it's years later you see all the subtleties of what's happening and how horrific the film is, you know.
Yes.
Flipping, you know, to this day, incredible. But in that bracket you had them amazing people like, you know, Alan Bobby and Dustin Hoffman and Gene Hackman and Nicholson. You know, they were flawless at the time, and then kind of leading into that, Sean Penn and Philip Seymour Hoffman and Gary Oldman, John Hurt, Anthony Hopkins, you know, brilliant all the time. And then we've talked about Stephen Graham before, and, you know, Michael Fassbender, stuff he's done recently.
Yeah.
But what I'll say, I know this guy I just thought was a kid. You know, he wasn't going to be able to, like, work with Marty and fill the shoes that Bobby De Niro had done.
Yeah.
But since The Wolf of Wall Street, The Revenant, right?
Yeah.
And
go for it.
Why have I just missed an incredible film that he's done more recently?
The Revenant.
Come on.
Django.
Yeah, what's he done? Sorry?
Django is rolling Django. If you.
Oh, Django. Sorry. Once Upon a Time in America. I don't care about the film. Hollywood. I don't care about the film really. Yeah. But he's amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The only reason I would watch
now that he's grown up, he's put weight on, and he's not. He's still pretty, but he's not. Him and Brad Pitt kind of do that more mature Robert Redford and Paul Newman sort of thing. they're just amazing, the pair of them, you know.
Well,
I'll put Leo down because I think, you know, he's still got loads of stuff ahead of him, really.
Do you know what? I think that's a really good shout. It's a really, really interesting choice. I mean, but my Leo moment was watching The Departed and realising that annoying little tosser from Titanic is actually a really good fucking actor. Blood Diamond. Blood Diamond.
Can I just say,
Blood Diamond.
Pacino's still number one. I just think, looking at someone who's still got the work ahead.
Yeah, but Blood Diamond, mate.
Leo, but I think of all time, I'll go for Al, though, definitely.
But Blood Diamond. Come on. You must have seen.
I liked it. I can't remember it now, but I liked it.
Man, that is worth watching again. It is awesome, mate. It is awesome.
I think that's in a box somewhere. I think we have it somewhere.
Right. So we've done the movies.
So
we've
done the actor, female actor.
Female actor, yes.
Right. I'll be really quick about it, and I know you touched on this with Ed the other week. Anyway, so the film Bombshell, right?
Yes.
All three amazing leads, right?
Yes.
I'll also say that all three of them have used prosthetics or sort of played down how beautiful they are looking.
Yeah.
To kind of, to play other roles rather than, just kind of looking attractive all of the time,
Yes.
Right? And they're all superb. But I'm gonna go for Margot Robbie for I, Tonya.
That is
again, because I think Nicole Kidman's probably done her best stuff already, and she's done brilliant stuff,
Hang on. Just let me stop you there. You there. Have you seen on Netflix the latest Nicole Kidman movie up there?
Is that Destroyer?
Yes.
I thought she was amazing.
I just couldn't believe it.
She's like a detective working in LA,
yes.
Isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that, the kind of things that happen in the film, the plot was a brilliant, that was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just throwing that in there, and I'm sorry to derail you.
Yeah. I wanted to bring that up. I mean, the way she walks with this kind of, very masculine kind of strut as well, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She's just... You never saw when she got together with Tom Cruise, you just assumed she was going to be this kind of Hollywood, playing pretty attractive women who were, the folly of the lead guy, romantic films, things like that.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, the stuff she's been doing.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah. And Big Little Lies, I think someone was talking about that on your show. She's superb in that as well. That's on
Sky. Loved that. Also... For me, one of her greatest roles is actually for me. I've got the DVD. It's literally to hand. Here it is. One of her greatest roles, which for me is stunning, is the movie To Die For.
Of course. And Joaquin Phoenix. I never mentioned him.
Well, Matt Dillon.
Mentioned the list.
Matt Dillon is in there.
Yeah.
And also, I'll throw in there, for those of you who've never seen To Die For before, watch it because it's brilliant. But also... there is about 4 seconds, completely interrupted, of Nail Bomb on the soundtrack in the movie. And I mean, it's like full on heavy as fuck. Because she gets together with a sort of rocker, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Well,
I wonder if that was a kind of breakout performance of something else. Then maybe that was the first thing she did, where you thought, hold on a minute.
It's very possibly because but if you've never seen it before, watch it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is very much a Gus Van Sant film. It's not.
To be honest, Van Sant. I mean, for Hollywood things, right? I really loved Good Will Hunting. Again, I mightn't sort of necessarily get it as much being older now, but at the time, it's a young kid romance, going out in the world, loved it. But on the flip side, that film he made, Last Days, it was sort of based around a Kurt Cobain character.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus, that was a slog to watch that, man. Honestly.
Yeah.
What a slog.
I can imagine it.
Michael Pitt played Kurt, I think he's called Michael Pitt. He's in Broadwalk Empire.
Yeah.
It was meant to be a Kurt, I don't know, but it was just a guy moping around the house, and then, and he's like, I'm not making any jokes about Kurt Cobain, I just don't think they should have, I don't know, the film doesn't do it for us,
Yeah. No, I'm getting that vibe from you.
Yeah, but yeah, the guy's done some good work as well, so fair enough, yeah.
And favourite genre?
Nowadays, I like dramas in a sense, because all that little independent films and stuff, which probably, we need to touch more on, but they are the ones that stick with me. But for event movies, I think it's got to be sci-fi. And if I say sci-fi, I can get away with The Thing being in it, and even possibly Escape from New York. My fourth choice for best film could go in there.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting choice.
Even though it was based in 1988, which of course New York didn't become a maximum security prison in 1988, but
no, they had to wait till 2020.
Or was it 1997? I can't remember. But yeah.
No, I mean they had to wait. They had to wait till this year.
Yeah.
Oh man, look, this has been fucking amazing. Definite part 2 got to be done.
All right, man. All right.
Definitely.
Awesome,
man. Look, Gary, I really appreciate you taking the time. And look, we've got to cover the band as well and the album coming out. So we're gonna have to do that conversation as well coming up very soon.
Yeah, sure, I appreciate it. And honestly, Howard, it's a pleasure talking. It's like you say, it's just a chat between two friends who enjoy passionately something, kind of from being 6, 7, 8 years old.
Yeah, and you know what, this is
all the way.
And you know what, this is one of the benefits of the podcast, is that sometimes I actually get to spend a long time talking to people that I haven't spoken to for a long time. So I've actually spoken to you and Ed probably more about movies than each other's lives.
Yeah.
in the last fucking year or whatever. But anyway, look, hopefully I'll be back up in Durham soon for a show. You never know. But
right, yeah.
But look, I'll give you a shout and let's get part 2 sorted, and we'll do one for the album as well.
Great. Okay, Howard. In the meantime, I'll watch The Last Boy Scout. And
yeah, do your homework.
I have a copy of Villeneuve's Enemy, which I haven't seen that film. So they're the things.
You're in for a treat there, mate.
I mean,
it's good. It's not amazing, but it is good, obviously. Yeah. Okay, Matt. Just wait there. But for now, thank you very much.
All right. All the best. Thanks, Howard.
And so there you go. Yes, there was going to be a part 2, and I mean we haven't even we missed not there's so much stuff we haven't talked about. In fact, we even talked about all the stuff we haven't talked about. So there, Gary will be back, and we'll finish up that conversation. And a more self-effacing person you could not meet. I mean, you've just spent a company. You've just spent time in the company of myself and Gary, and you can see why we've been friends for so long. He's a treasured friend of mine. He's a very funny guy. He's a great husband and father and rock and roller, and he's one of those people that has never changed. He's a father with married 2 children, still the same guy I know. And it's very rare you can say that about anyone. But I hope you enjoyed that. There is plans for. I've got somebody up my sleeve. Sorry, just knocked my glasses off. I've got somebody up my sleeve to get on the podcast that I can't. I'm not gonna try and tell you who they are. But let's just say that they are a male actor, a very experienced male actor. From who was basically a main character in an iconic British TV show for many years, and yeah. Anyway, look, I haven't got him on yet. In fact, I haven't even asked him, so I don't know what I'm telling you for, because I'm actually telling you before I've even asked him. So next month it might be he said no. So we'll have to wait and see. Although, to be honest, probably well, I was going to say I won't be able to do it at the moment, but we could do it over the phone. You stupid bastard, Howard. The reason I say that is that he only lives 1 street behind me. Yeah, I really do. I've really gone deep into my research, haven't I? And got somebody who lives a street away. But hey, He was a main character in an iconic British TV show. It's not my fault, is it? Top man as well, and a Leeds fan. So there you go. Anyway, look, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Movie Bollocks as much as I enjoyed spending an hour and a half chatting to my mate Gary. I will be back. You will continue, hopefully, fingers crossed, to get 3 podcasts a month. You'll be getting this one at the beginning of the month. You get one in the middle of the month, which is a Talking Bollocks one, and you get a Talking Bollocks one at the end of the month as well. So, hey, it's all coming. It's all good. I'll keep the interviews flowing. You keep listening. That's the deal, right? Speak to you next month.